One.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Finance Committee meeting of the Ascension Parish Council for July 7th, 2020. I'm calling the meeting to order. I'd like to ask Councilman Corey Organ to lead us in an invocation and pledge. Please remain seated.
Everyone, please remain seated. Prepare yourselves for prayer. Lord God, we wish to thank you today for the many promises that you have kept for us, for the work that you have performed, and for the good deeds that you have shown us. Lord, we know that we just come through a rain event, and we know that that was in your plan, and we know that you are doing so to assist your children here on earth and to allow things to continue to grow and to continue to prosper. Lord, tonight we're going to get together to represent the people of Ascension Parish. We ask that you bestow your wisdom and your kindness on each of us as we discuss these many necessary and interesting issues before the parish. Lord, we thank you and we beseech you for your good graces to continue with Ascension Parish and all of her citizens. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Orgeron. I appreciate that. Madam Secretary, make a note, please, for roll call. Councilman Travis Turner, Councilwoman Terry Cazzo, and Councilman Joel Robert are not present. All other council members are here. And at this time, I'm going to call upon the Secretary to read the agenda before we go into the public comment period. Cinnamon?
Ascension Economic Development to introduce Project Husky REG Geismar LLC for participation in the ITEP under the Post-Executive Order 2018 rules. Ascension Economic Development to introduce Clover Bourne Technologies for participation in the ITEP under the Post-Executive Order 2018 rules. Option to redeem $1 million PAR amount of the $9,200,000 Ascension Parish Revenue Refunding Bonds. Renewal of cooperative agreement between Ascension Parish Government and LSU Agricultural Center to support and administer Louisiana cooperative units off campus and to assure continued informal educational programming from the LSU Ag Center. This agreement shall have a term of 5 years. Renewal of cooperative endeavor agreement between Ascension Parish Government and the Board of Supervisors of Louisiana State University and A&M College, represented by the LSU Agricultural Center, to formalize the commitment of both the LSU Ag Center and Parish to ensure that the Louisiana Cooperative Extension Service continues to provide 4-H youth development programs and that both are relevant and useful to all Louisiana citizens. Total amount of agreement shall not exceed $50,000. Renewal of maintenance agreement, including mowing and litter pickup between Parish of Ascension and DOTD. Renewal of master contract for professional services between Ascension Parish Government and UniFirst of Baton Rouge for industrial uniforms, other clothing items, and flat supplies for an additional year from 7/25/2020 through 7/25/2021 per fee schedule. Certificate of Substantial Completion, Boone Construction Services Hope Villa Lift Station Project. Monthly Contract Report, Revenue and Expenditure Report. Bid quote items to accept lowest responsive bid quote as follows. The right to act as the official journal for Ascension Parish Government. Bid Gonzales Weekly Citizen. Piggyback purchase of 2 2020 Ford F-350 chassis trucks for Fire Protection District Number 2. Courtesy Automotive Group, $62,335.75 each. Multimedia equipment for the new courthouse, Crescent Multimedia Solutions, $796,110.02.
Okay, thank you, Cinnamon. Appreciate that. At this time, we'll cease and open up for public comment, the public comment period, and that'll be for about 15 minutes. We'll go back into closed session at about 5:47 p.m. Please put up the screen. Thank you.
John is 547.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Madam Secretary, please let the record show that Councilman Turner has joined the meeting. At this time, we'll proceed with item 5, general business. Item A, Ascension Economic Development to introduce Project Husky for REG Geismar LLC for participation in the ITEP, which is the Industrial Tax Exemption Program under the Post-Executive Order 2018 rules. Ms. Kate MacArthur. I think Ms. MacArthur is going to give us a summary of item A and item B.
I'll make a motion for item A.
Let her give
I'll
the
second
summary
that.
first. Let her give the summary first, if that's okay. Then we'll.
That's fine.
All right, good evening.
Hi,
I'm
Kate,
here
welcome.
thank you. I'm here to present REG Geismar for participation in the local ITEP program under the 2018 rules. They are considering doing a $1.2 billion investment, which would create 60 new jobs. Over the 30-year life, the project will generate $37 million in property taxes for the parish and $7 million during the sales tax during the construction period for 2 years prior to operations. So that would be $44 million in direct taxes that would be new for the parish, and the tax incentive under the ITEP program is a $29 million abatement over the 10 years. There is competition for this investment, so we don't know if we are going to be able to win it, but we would like your consideration in approving the ITEP so that we're more competitive in order to position ourselves in the best way possible. And I do have the general manager, Brian Christiansen, here with me in case there are any questions, but you did receive their presentation with more of the details of the proposed expansion. So if you have any questions regards to that, he's here to answer as well.
Any questions? Councilman Lawler? I'm sorry, Coach Thomas?
Thank you, Mr. Cagnali. My question is when is this project supposed to start? And are they having any job fair?
Can you repeat that question one more time, sir?
Yeah, would there be any job fairs for these for this project?
So once we have
Will you be presenting? Yeah, will you? Excuse me?
So you're asking when we're going to start doing job fairs, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so right now we're still trying to be the best attractive offer for this facility. So we've got 2 to 3 other possibilities to put an expansion or 250 million gallon a year facility in. And I think if I believe it's in the presentation you guys have. So once we get notified by our corporate affairs, our corporate team, that we've got the opportunity to build a facility here, that's when we'll actually start working on job fairs and whatnot to get the additional 60 plus people on site. And it's not going to be 36 months before we start up the facility. It's going to take a year or 2 to get everybody up to speed and qualified. So we're looking at trying to get this project up and running around Q3, Q4 of 2023. So that means we're fast approaching where we need to get this project approved, not only from you guys' standpoint, but as well as from our senior leaders, such that then at that point in time, I can start doing the hiring process. So once I know that I got the project in place, shortly thereafter, we'll start doing the job fairs and try to get good qualified people on site to get ready for the expansion.
So what is the projected date that, if possible, I'm not sure whether you have one or not, but what would be the projected date that we'll be looking at doing this?
So if we say for instance, I'm hoping by September, October of this year, we can make the announcement. I can't guarantee that because there's a lot of things still at play. We're still doing the engineering on it, so we have a good, solid understanding of what it's going to cost for the project. You know, I'm hopeful sometime in September, October, we can make the announcement and we can move forward from there.
My last question is, what type of jobs are they looking for?
So
particularly.
Yeah, no, good question. So we're looking at for operators predominantly. So we've got a base of around 67 operators already on site, anywhere from people that are offloading the feedstocks to the border operators to the shift supervisors that are managing the site. We also have contract maintenance people on site as well. Right now we've got about 35 people on site for that. So basically we're taking what we call trade A and we're going to build trade B, for which then we're going to be adding additional jobs at that particular point in time. And then again, it'll be operators from anywhere from loadout to people loading out ship vessels, because we part of this project, as you can see in the slide deck, is that we're going to have our own docking area so we can load vessels as well as offload vessels. So this is going to expand quite a bit of area for which we're going to require a lot of people. And we're roughly estimating about double of what we're doing right now in terms of the employee count at the facility.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr.
Councilman
Cavanaugh.
Lawler. Councilman Lawler.
Yeah, I'll renew my motion to approve.
I have a motion from Councilman Lawyer. Do I have a second? Second by Chase Malonson. Any further discussion? Any objection? Motion passes. Moving along to item B, Ascension Parish Economic Development to introduce Clover-born technologies for the participation in the Industrial Tax Exemption Program under the Post-Executive Order 2018 rules. Again, Ms. Kate MacArthur.
Coming back, John.
Thank you,
So similar to the previous agenda item, this is another company that is seeking approval for the 2018 ITEP program. This one is Born Technologies, which is interested in locating in the city of Gonzales. They would process, manufacture, and refine hemp to produce finished cannabinoids, oils, distillates, extracts, and isolates for wholesale and retail distribution. The products are a source for nutraceuticals, food, drinks, and wellness-related products, as well as being a new and diverse industry in Ascension Parish. They'll be using highly regulated hemp grown by Louisiana farmers and be a Louisiana-based product. The ITEP incentive was approved at the C&I board meeting. The total investment is estimated at $2.8 million, with 2 new permanent jobs being created. And over the 30-year life, we're estimating the project to generate $102,000 in property taxes. And the tax incentive would be a $79,000 abatement from parish property taxes because it's in the city of Gonzales, so it's a little bit lower than the typical project millage rate. So I do have Julia Collins here with me, and she is the woman who will be starting up this new industry in Louisiana and is here to answer any questions that you may have about the project itself.
Councilman Lawler.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to make a motion that we approve this ITAP. Second of all, I'm very happy. This is a growing industry, growing of hemp to use in commercial products. The state of Kentucky is light years ahead of us on this, but it's a good opportunity because we have the perfect agricultural base to jump into this industry, and especially Ascension Parish and the surrounding parishes. So I'm very happy this is starting in Ascension Parish for Louisiana, and I'm happy to approve this. Thank you.
Councilman Michael, go ahead.
I just want to second Aaron's motion.
Very good. I have a motion and a second for approval. Any question? Any further discussion? Any objection? So ordered. Next item C, option to redeem $1 million par amount of the $9,200,000 Ascension Parish revenue refunding bonds, Henry Schexnayder of Ascension Parish Library Board. Gentlemen, I can give a brief explanation of this. What they're doing is they have this $9,200,000 bond, and the library board has voted to pay down $1 million of it, so that they're making an early payment on the debt. So that's what this is all about, but they have to seek approval from us in order to do so.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by
Second.
Councilman Mason, second by, was that you, Coach?
Yes.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any questions? Councilman Lawler.
I do have a question for the library board. Is that Mr. Schexnayder there? I can't tell.
Yes.
Yes.
Will this leave the library with enough money to make repairs? I know right now at the Galvez branch of the library, we're causing flooding issues on the houses that live on the backside due to the recent expansion, and that's going to have to be addressed. Will the library still have enough money in their funds to be able to remedy the situation?
Yes, and Councilman, we also, I met with Ron Savoy with the parish, and Ron met with the two neighbors in the back and had a conversation with them. And I think one of the neighbors that was most concerned has dug a ditch in the back of his property to drain the water that came off of our parking lot onto his backyard. I think it's been rerouted to a ditch, so we hadn't heard anything from him with all the rain we had yesterday. I haven't heard anything, so I don't know if it took care of the situation, but the drainage, initially we thought the drainage needed to go to the front to Highway 42, but the way the drainage plan was developed for the library, the actual drainage goes back through the subdivision and through back ditches of the subdivision. So the drainage plan is working as it was designed. It was just that it was causing a lot of water to go on their property, but I think Ron met with them and talk to them about whether they wanted the parish to dig a little ditch to reroute the water to the side of their property.
Do you know when Ron met with them?
Probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, because I met with him after our last meeting. I called him, and it probably took a week for us to get in touch with each other, so I talked to him, and then he told me that he was talking to them after that, because I think the two people in the back, I think they called you, I think they called Gary Graves, I think they called everybody. So they were pretty concerned about it. So I think they got a lot of people's attention. And I told Ron what was going on. So Ron sent me the drainage plan that we had when we had to go into the library. And he told me he was going to go meet with them. So I'm assuming he met with them 3 weeks, well, probably 4 weeks ago.
Okay. They're still, they had a lot of problems yesterday, as most people did. I don't know if that was more of a rain event, but my talking to them I think it was 2 weeks ago, there's still a lot of concern. So I think it's something that still has to be addressed. And it was addressed before the expansion of the library. So it seems to be an ongoing problem.
Okay. I mean, we had our drainage plan, we pulled it. We do have surplus funds in the library, so if we have to, do anything more, Ron said that the parish was going to try to dig a ditch right along the back of the fence, because where our parking lot stops, there's then the fence, so there's no room in between our parking lot and the fence, and their property's right in the back of it. So the way our parking lot was designed, there's a curb on the parking lot, there's two openings on the curb to let water drain out, which was part of the drainage plan, to let water drain out of the parking lot at a slower pace through the two openings in the parking lot. And that's where they normally concrete when water gets into their yard. They normally get a bag of concrete, come concrete those drain openings that leave the water in the parking lot, which is obviously, you can't do, but that's what's causing the problem, so.
Yeah, I'm just, I think they're still having problems with it, and we just have to make sure it gets fixed. I hate that a parish entity is flooding a bunch of citizens. So we'll have to keep working on that. Thank you, though.
Okay, you bet.
Okay, Councilman Orgeron.
Mr. Schneider, you mentioned that there's a surplus of funds with the library board. What's an approximation? Well, how much money do you guys have in this surplus?
We as of today, we have about $15 million, but you know, as you know, we get all of our money from the assessor's office at the beginning of the year. So we need to take that money and, you know, cover payroll through the entire year. So what we figure, we have about $5 million that we have in capital outlay, which is going to fund the library in Santa Monica when we go to build the library in Santa Monica. So the game plan is that probably, you know, what we're trying to do is work in a cooperative endeavor with the parish and also the sheriff's office when we build something in Santa Monica that would be multi-use that all three of us could use to the benefit of it, but we're not sure exactly how much that's going to cost. We met with some architects during our convention, and because of COVID, everything's been put on hold. So we're going to be meeting with architects to come up with a plan for Santa Monica. But, you know, I'm guessing that, you know, we have $5 million in our capital fund right now, about $5.5 million. I'm guessing a new library, the cost of a new library would probably be about $7 million, and probably another $1 million to go ahead and put books in it and computers and et cetera. So I'm guessing we have to take $7 million, so we probably have to move $2 million out of our operating funds and put them into the capital outlay funds. But what we're doing is we're going up for an election, as you know, in August, and we're asking for a reduction, a renewal of our millage, but we're also asking for a 1 mil reduction. Because of the parish growing and because of the assessment rolls getting higher, you know, we think that we can operate the library with a reduction in millage.
And that's what I was getting at, sir, and I wanted to commend you for the rarity in government of asking for a reduction in your millages and your tax base. As a citizen, I appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you.
Sure.
And we made $1 million payment on our bonds last year. We made $1 million payment. So our hope is to get the bonds paid off, hopefully within the next, you know, once we do Santa Monica and we have to figure the operations of Santa Monica, you know, then we have to reassess and see exactly where we stand. Now we feel because of some tax exemptions coming off the rolls, you know, we think our, you know, the funds that will come to the library. Last year we operated with about $8.5 million budget. We're thinking in 2 years that'll probably be closer to a $10 million budget, but we have Santa Monica, and then we also need to spend some money in Donaldsonville because the branch in Donaldsonville needs an uplift. It needs to be painted. It's an old building, so it needs to be painted. We need to spend carpet there, and then we also are working with Bobby Webb, the sheriff, because we'd like to do something back in town at the Legislative Center and do something there also to where it'd be more accessible to people from back in town in Donaldsonville. So those are the things that we have on our drawing board.
Thank you so much, Henry. Gentlemen, we're kind of deviating from the agenda item. We're supposed to approve their $1 million par amount to pay down that bond. So I have a motion and a second. Do I hear any other discussion? Any objection? So ordered. Thank you, Henry, for coming by and giving us that description.
Thank you.
Item D, renewal of a cooperative endeavor agreement between Ascension Parish government and the LSU Agriculture Center to support and administer the Louisiana cooperative units off campus and to assure continued informal education programming for the LSU Ag Center. This agreement shall have a term of 5 years. Camille Brady with the 4-H will be coming in. Gentlemen, this is something that we do on a regular basis. We support, this is primarily for the county agent. We have a county agent that comes to Ascension Parish part-time, and the money we put up is a minimum of $21,500, and I don't think it's ever exceeded $35,000. I may be wrong, but we supplement the county agent who comes in here part-time, and they give answers to anybody who calls in and questions how to grow a garden or any kind of agricultural question they may have. And this county agent, we have agreed over the years to supplement this funding for the county agent. And that's what it's all about. Anybody have any questions? Councilman Lawler?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I got a motion from Councilman Lawler to approve.
Second.
Second from Coach. Any discussion? There being none, any objection? No objection? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. And item 4 is a continuation. This is a renewal of cooperative agreement between Ascension Parish government and the Board of Supervisors at Louisiana State University and A&M College, represented by the LSU Ag Center, to formalize a commitment of both the LSU Ag Center and the parish to ensure that Louisiana Cooperative Extension Service continues to provide 4-H youth development programs that are both relevant and useful to all Louisiana citizens. The total amount shall not exceed $50,000 for this year. This, again, gentlemen, is a renewal of something that we've always done with 4-H through LSU's Ag Center. Any comments? Motion by Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
Second.
Second by Councilman Val Wagaspack. Any discussion? Any objection? The motion carries. Thank you so much. Moving on to item F, renewal of the maintenance agreement, including mowing and litter pickup between Parish of Ascension and Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development. Greg Berkelot. I think Cinnamon's going to get him. Gentlemen, just briefly, I think what this is every year we enter an agreement with the DOTD to do the mowing and trash pickup on certain highways. I think part of that is even the Interstate 10 corridor going through the parish. And I don't know the amount. Maybe we can get that from Greg, but I think it's around 150, 160,000 a year, if I'm not mistaken. Councilman Malonzo.
Thank you. Hey, Mr. Greg, how are you?
All right, how y'all doing?
Doing good. Hey, just real quick before we get started, I just wanted to thank you for the communication that you've been having the last month or so. I do appreciate that very much. So my question is kind of a little bit of a bigger picture. Do you think it's possible to work out this kind of deal with DOTD for roadside ditches on state highways?
I didn't catch the question.
Roadside ditches on state highways.
Do you think it's possible for us to link up with DOTD and maybe work out a contract to where we can address the severe issues we have with our roadside ditches on the state highways? I mean, we've kind of taken initiative here with the grass cutting and the litter, and I know if I was a betting man, we're probably losing a little bit of money on this contract, but it needs to be done. And I was just curious if we have ever explored the option of taking this idea and going a little bit further with it.
Yeah, we have in the past met with the state DOTD people and tried to get a little more money and stuff from them, but they won't hardly budge.
Right. So my comment is not so much about the money. I mean, I think it's I'm sorry, I can't remember how many miles of road, but there's a dollar amount for each amount of road.
140.
Yeah, it's like a certain amount for it's like a certain amount for a divided road and whatnot. And I'm sure it's not covering all of our costs, but it needs to be done. We're taking initiative. I am in favor of this, for one. I would like to make the motion to approve it, but I'm just bringing out the general idea of, is it possible to work with DOTD to try to take over some more of their responsibilities that they obviously just don't have the resources to do, and maybe the parish could address.
I'm sure they would love for us to take over some more of their roads to cut.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, Councilman Malonzo, this has been addressed, right, Dempsey, in the past? I'll call on Councilman Lambert. You're muted. Press your button.
It's something that we have to work off of. They have to permit it to for us to to do any kind of agreement with them. But I'm sure Mr. Aaron Ellisor with the local DOTD would be more than glad to work with us on that. But it's going to have to go through a permit through their permit process.
I agree. As a matter of fact, my recollection is that Bill Rue looked into this, and the amount of money they're wanting to pay us to do roadside ditches on state highways would be equivalent to us being able to afford to cut them once a year, maybe twice. If that's what I recall from Bill Rue. But anyway, good discussion there, gentlemen. I have a motion by Councilman Chase Malonzo. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Michael Mason. Any objection? Motion
John, Coach.
I'm sorry,
John.
Coach. Go ahead.
John, Coach
ahead,
wants to speak.
Go ahead, Coach. You're muted, Coach. Press your button.
As the West Ascension Drainage Chairman, in looking at what Mr. Chase was talking about, Mr. Malonzo was talking about, it is very badly needed, especially in the rural areas in the parish and state highway for us digging ditches. I know cutting grass and all of that, that's something that we've been doing for a while. But if we can look into it and see if we can come up with something that could be feasible for both of us, that would be a great help, because a lot of times it's very tough to get to digging the ditches on state highway and let alone cutting the grass. So if it was something that we can get to, if it's something that we can present to them, sit down and talk to them. I'm not sure if we can or not, but I'm pretty much in agreement with Mr. Malonzo was saying, and getting to the state highway. On those state highways, of those ditches need to be maintained, because it does concern the drainage. It takes up a lot of the drainage also. So I would hope we can work on something, put something together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There be no further discussion. Madam Secretary, please note that Councilman Robert has joined the meeting. Continuing, item G, renewal of master contract for professional services between Ascension Parish Government and UniFirst of Baton Rouge for industrial uniforms, other clothing items, class supplies, additional year from 7/25/20 through 7/25/2021 per their fee schedule.
John,
You need a vote on the last matter. You didn't vote. You had a motion.
I'm sorry, I thought I had called for a vote. I have a motion by Councilman Chase Malonzo, seconded by Councilman Mason, to approve the renewal agreement between for mowing and litter pickup between Ascension Parish and DOTD. Any objections? Hearing none, that motion carries. All right. Now to item G. I've already read it. So is Wanda there? I think this is for our uniforms, for our parish workers, parish employees.
Good evening. Wanda was not able to be here, so I'm sitting in for her. This is just our renewal for the uniforms for the parish and everything else that's listed in the back of the contract. no changes to the contract.
Okay. Any questions, gentlemen? Councilman Lawler.
Yeah, I move that we accept this.
I got a motion by Councilman Lawyer, second by Coach Thomas to approve. Any objection? Any further discussion? Being none, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Item H, certificate of substantial completion, Blue Construction Services, Hope Villa Lift Station Project, Dean Thomason, Project Manager.
How y'all doing?
Hey, Dean, how you doing?
Pretty good, but y'all.
Doing okay. You want to give us a brief rundown?
It's basically substantial completion for the lift station over on Hope Villa. Job's complete, is in run, no issues, everything's working properly. Motion. Close the job out.
Okay. Any questions, gentlemen?
Second.
Who made the motion?
I did, John.
Councilman Lambert made the motion. I made the
Councilman
second.
Lambert, I got a motion by Councilman Lambert, second by Councilman Aaron Lawler. Any discussion? Any objection? There being none, motion carries. Item L, we're going to go forward with the monthly contract report. Sandra Pereira, paralegal. I guess there she is. She just walked in. Welcome, Sandra. How are you?
I'm good. How are y'all doing? This is the monthly contract report for all the contracts entered into in the month of June. Don't have any questions about anything?
Any questions, gentlemen? Okay, no questions. I guess most people read it in their packet. Thank you, Sandra, for your report. We appreciate it. Moving on, item 6 on the agenda, financial reports, revenue and expenditure report. Amanda Barrow, Assistant Treasurer. Okay, I guess Cinnamon's going to get her.
I don't know. They can't see her? Can they hear her? Can y'all hear?
Yes.
Okay, before you are the financial reports for the month of May 2020, which reflects 41.47% of the year. Page 1, revenues. This first page are revenues. This page reflects all funds of the parish broken down into 5 categories: general funds, special revenue funds, debt service funds, enterprise/internal revenue funds, and capital project funds. It shows 2019 year-to-date actuals, 2020 year-to-date actuals, the 2020 budget, and percent of budget used at this time. In comparing 2019 year-to-date actual to 2020 year-to-date actual for revenues for the month of May, there's an increase of 6.07% for general fund, a decrease of 4.12% for special revenue funds, an increase of 0.87% for debt service funds, a decrease of 44.69% for enterprise and internal service funds, a decrease of 229.74% for capital project funds, and a decrease of 20.95% for total of all funds. Total May 2020 year-to-date revenue for our operating funds are at 37.79% of the budget at 41.61% of the year. Total for capital project funds are at 17.28% of the budget at 41.67% of the year. Total revenues for all funds are at 34.93% of the budget at 41.67% of the year. Funds highlighted in green are funds under the budget for revenue by 5% or more, and on page 3, there's an explanation for each one. Page 2 of the report is a chart comparing 2019 2019 to 2020 year-to-date actual revenues for the month of May. Page 3 is an explanation of the funds under the budget by 5% or more that is highlighted in green on page 1 of the report. Page 4, expenditures. This page is in the same format as the revenue, except there's an extra column that reflects encumbrances, which are authorized obligations either in the form of a contract or a purchase order. In comparing 2019 year-to-date actual to 2020 actual for expenditures for the month of May, there's an increase of 7.56% for general fund, a decrease of 16.67% for special revenue funds, increase of 3.25% for debt service funds, increase of 5.22% for enterprise and internal service funds, increase of 40.27% for capital project funds, and increase 2.66% for total of all funds. Total May 2020 year-to-date expenditures plus encumbrances for operating funds are at 38.54% of the budget at 41.67% of the year. Total for capital project funds are at 43.23% of the budget. Total expenditures plus encumbrances for all funds are at 40.45% of the budget. Funds highlighted in green are funds over the budget for expenditures by 5% or more. And on page 6, there's an explanation for each. Page 5 of the report is a chart comparing 2019 to 2020 year-to-date actual expenditures for the month of May. Page 6 is an explanation of funds over the budget by 5% or more that was highlighted in green on page 4 of the report. Page 7 reflects the cash and investment positions of the parish as of May 2020 compared to May 2019 in total and by restricted and unrestricted. The total for May 2020 is $275,834,477, of which $244,743,079 is restricted and $31,091,398 is unrestricted, compared to May of 2019 total of $279,345,692 with $250,967,976 being restricted and $28,377,715 unrestricted. The bottom of the report is a chart comparing total restricted and unrestricted cash and investments for 2019 and 2020 as of May. The report also reflects the breakdown between restricted and unrestricted for 2020 and gives a list of the funds associated with each. And the last page of the report is just a pie chart showing each and percentage of total cash. If y'all have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Gentlemen, does anyone have any questions? Very good. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate your report, Amanda. We're moving on. Item 7. Bid quote items. To accept the lowest responsible bid quote as follows. Cynthia LeBlanc, Purchasing Director. Item A, the right to act as the official journal for Ascension Parish government. It was bid in the Gonzales Weekly Citizen.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Melanson.
Second.
Second by, who was that? Councilman Robert?
Correct.
All right. Got a motion and a second. Any objection? Any discussion? The motion carries. Item B, piggyback purchase of two 2020 Ford F-350 chassis trucks for the Fire Protection District Number 2, Casey Automotive Group, $62,335.75.
Motion.
My question would be to Cynthia, Is this within their budget for fire district number 2?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I needed. Gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
Who's that?
Second. Mason.
Michael Mason, motion, second by Chase Malonson.
Second.
Any objection? Any further discussion? There being no objection, the motion carries. Item C, multimedia equipment for the new courthouse. Crescent Multimedia Solutions, $796,110.02. Gentlemen, I'm sure that this was within the budget. It was brought up at one of the other courthouse committee meetings, and I think this is just this is what they're going to have to spend to get the multimedia. Motion by Councilman Lambert. Second by Coach Thomas. Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any objections? Oh, excuse me. Councilman Malonzo.
Yeah, I just have one question from Ms. Gwen. I emailed her today, and she told me this was per LA State contract. Can you just give me a little bit more information on that?
I think Cynthia responded to that. You talked to Cynthia, right, Cynthia?
I'm sorry. I'm all over the place.
Okay, all items are listed per the state contract. The contract was already bidded out per the state. And we're just purchasing the items off of the contract.
So we didn't have to put it out for bid. That's I'm just making sure.
No, sir.
Okay, thank y'all.
Yeah, I'm sure that purchasing, when they have an opportunity to just take advantage of utilizing the state contracts, rather than us going out for bids, it's going to save the taxpayers quite a bit of money. That's my understanding.
Yes.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any objection? There being none, that motion carries. Item 9, gentlemen.
Motion to adjourn.
8. Item 8. Councilman Mason, motion to adjourn, second by Councilman Orgeron. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming to the meeting, and
Thank you.